ELCPNG commences 33rd Synod. Need to teach political history. And call to support City Mission.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Seah.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Sunday's news. Central Province Governor Robert Agorobe has highlighted the need to teach political history to grade 11 and 12 students from the province. He says this will help students have a better understanding on the country's political system and make informed decisions. A lecture theatre will be built at the Central Provincial Government headquarters for students to attend lectures on the political history of the province.
A lot of our people expect governments to just...
Central Governor Robert Agorobe was speaking to the people of Central Province at the Central Provincial headquarters at Konedobu. The governor says a new provincial assembly office and a lecture theatre will be built, and grade 11 and 12 students from secondary schools in the province will be attending lectures to learn about the country's political history. They will also be attending provincial assembly sitting and parliament sittings to understand the political system. The governor says this will help students understand politics.
Our students compulsory, they'll have to come here and attend assembly sittings, and they must also attend parliament sessions as well. So they must understand politics. What we need to do now is we need to raise a new generation. And let Central Province start.
This development was made possible when the provincial government received the land title to the portion of land where the provincial headquarters is located. The governor says most people do not understand the country's political system, especially political parties, and they have been voting for candidates without better understanding of party policies. The governor says educating students on the country's political system will help them make informed decisions.
You don't know anything about government systems and policies. You should know that when you vote, you should vote under party lines. You must vote because the party is pushing policies that are of your interest, that will benefit you. That's why parties represent different type of policies.
The governor also highlighted the need for students to better understand their history and their identity, and they will be working together with the National Museum for students to visit the museum.
We will also be linked up with the National Museum because we also want to have our political museum here, because this is where, historically, this is where the national government started. This is where we got independence. The British flag was raised at Konedobu. That's part of our history.
Rayon Lakingu National, EMTV News.
The Evangelical Lutheran Church of PNG officially opened their weekend-long Synod program at the Sir John Guy's Track and Field Arena. The opening ceremony saw the 17 ELC districts, including the host Papua district, march from the main road into the main arena. Governor General Grand Chief Sir Bob Dadai and his wife were present during the ceremony.
The ELCPNG's 33rd Synod official opening ceremony has seen delegates from the Lutheran churches from 17 districts, including the public, pack the seats of Sir John Guy Stadium today. The stadium was crowded with Lutheran church faithfuls tasked to adhere to the Nupela passing protocols to minimize the spread of COVID-19. The ceremony began with delegates marching into the venue. It started off with delegates from the Emmanuel district of Southern Highlands, who will be hosting the 34th Synod, and ended with the current host, Papua district. The ceremony was joined by members of parliament, including Moresby Governor Ginsen Saunu and Governor General Grand Chief Sir Bob Dadai, and ELC members from overseas. The program included dancing, singing from the youths of the Papua district, welcoming their guest delegates. The host district also gave the honors to Central Governor Robert Agorobe to present a new pastor originally from Central to be ordained by the ELC pastors during the ceremony. The program then proceeded on with Head Bishop of ELCPNG, Right Reverend Dr. Jack Urame's sermon, before officially declaring the week-long program open. The Synod will end on the 15th of January when the Papua district hand over to the next Synod host for 2024. Jamie Harrow, National EMTV News.
Member for Kikori Soro Eo is calling on relevant authorities to support the work done by City Mission in the country. He praised City Mission PNG for their dedication in improving the livelihood of young men in the country. The non-government organization caters for about 200 young men and offers life skills training, literacy and vocational training through a 14-month residential program.
Speaking during the recent presentation of 50,000 kina to City Mission PNG, member for Kikori Soroi Ewa said the government must look into supporting the non-government organization.
Look at the structure and nature of City Mission really requires direct support from the government. It is something that we need to work together. I need to perhaps meet with your board chairman and other people, so see where I can assist in terms of bringing the need to other government entities.
Since its establishment, City Mission PNG has been spreading the love of God and meeting human needs for over 25 years. The mission began as a ministry for street boys and has continued to grow and adapt to the challenging social and spiritual needs of Papua New Guinea. However, General Manager for CMPNG, Gerald Bengeza, says funding has always been a challenge, but he says it's an opportunity for the organization to keep striving.
But at the same time, I think it's an opportunity for our young men who came through the program to be actually preferred compared to other people who just didn't had anything the last couple of months. So I see it as an opportunity. So that's something. Challenge is also like, because we knew we have to get in touch with all of the businesses.
The General Manager is hoping that the National Youth Development Authority, as a relevant authority, will assist in any way possible.
So we are just one building block in the whole thing, and my hope is really, especially for NYDA, to as a government arm, to network and string us up, and that we can help each other and to build this nation.
Podivai, National EMTV News.
Michael Lang is not a name many people know, but he was an instrumental figure in the early days of the Pangu Party politics. Mr. Lang, who comes from the Bulolo district in Moresby, started out as a local guide and helper of well-known Kiap Tony voters and went on to becoming the Pangu Party's first secretary. He now lives a quiet life in the village and recalls his experience in the early days. This week, he was visited by executives of the Pangu Party in Moresby.
Mambo village in the Buang LLG is one of the historical places. It holds stories of Papua New Guinea's founding party, Pangu, during the formative years. Here we met Michael Lang, a local who was instrumental in the formation of the party, along with expatriate Kiap and patrol officer Tony Votas. This is his son John telling us about him.
Tony Votas, he asked him, talking Mikaleng or me come one them tripla talk. Mikisim name belong to Plaman, Michael Thomas Somari and Blosipik, Boyamosari, Blofinchafen, mixing to Plakam, Nami like ask him you. Suppose you one bell by this la tupla money can come up some leader blon this la party. So Papa he talk me one bell because me buang me school yabe me no Englishman. Osem na me one bell on this la tupla sabe man lo English to play can run in this la party osem leader come up some leader.
Mr. Lang was Wouters' guide and helper when he was a patrol officer in Moresby province. Tony Wouters joined the Bully Beef Club in Port Moresby in early 1960s, which later became the Pangu Party. When Pangu Party was formed, Mr. Lang was given the role as the party's secretary.
Tony Wouters has been appointed Osem secretary belong Pangu Party lo 1965. And first plus secretary lo 1965. Long time, you must plan lo white man yet.
The old Pangu veteran member left his role in 1975 after the country's independence. His legacies are known in some areas around the country as one of the contributing figures towards PNG's independence. Michael Tamtipais, National EMTV News, Ley.
You're watching National EMTV News. We'll have a closer look after these short messages. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. For an industry that contributes on average 1.2 billion kina annually through export revenue, it has received little government attention for many years. That is slowly changing in the most recent years as government starts to reinvest into the oil palm industry, starting with smallholder road rehabilitation and maintenance. Today, headed by the current General Secretary, Captain Pupita, the Oil Palm Industry Corporation is correcting mistakes and foreseeing a brighter future. In this episode of A Closer Look, we'll look at the oil palm industry through the eyes of Oil Palm Industry Corporation, or OPIC.
This is the community of Lomo in the central Nakanai area of West New Britain province, welcoming officers from the Oil Palm Industry Corporation, or OPIC. Upon the request of the community, the officers arrived to officially open a newly constructed road. It has been years of carrying heavy bunches of fresh fruit oil palm through swamps in order to get to the nearest buying point. This is one of the many roads built through funding provided by the National Planning through the Palm Oil Smallholder Access Road Maintenance and Rehabilitation Program. The program started in 2018.
In oil palm, road is a very, very important infrastructure because the fruits that are harvested by the farmers and sold are heavy in nature. For the last 20 to 30 years, there were roads that were abandoned because of culvert was out, bridge was out, or waterways creating new pathways or craters and making it impossible for food trucks to pick up crop for delivery to the mills. And so it was a challenge. The money came in, and so I had to start identifying those roads.
Captain Pupita is the current General Secretary for Oil Palm Industry Corporation. An accountant by profession, he was the financial controller for OPIC before acting on the position in December of 2019. Despite having plans to increase oil palm yields in the 5 project areas, they were faced with 20 years of road and infrastructure deterioration. The 5 project areas are 2 in West New Britain province, 1 each in Milne Bay, Northern and New Ireland provinces. Because of the deteriorating road conditions and infrastructure, many farmers abandoned their blocks and paid little to no interest at all. Extension officers could not even reach some blocks. Today, through this PIP funding, 44 roads have since been constructed and all under budget.
So in 2018, 2022, under the EMTV program through PIP funding, OPIC was allocated at the budget of 65 million to do 200 kilometers of roads. But in 4 years, I received 27 million, did 44 roads, and delivered 229.12 kilometers. That's even less than half of the budget appropriation that was given for MTV3. I did much better.
While the OPIC office was established years ago, its presence was unknown from the farmers right up to the government. Mr. Pupita aims to change that.
When I joined, the industry was a institution that was tucked away from the public domain. When I saw that, I thought it was necessary for the institution to interact with the government so that we get the necessary support to ensure the industry grows going forward with the government's policy of taking back PNG through agriculture.
With OPIC making known its presence and a vocal agriculture minister pushing the commodity agendas, OPIC was awarded 2 million kina from the Moresby government's Price Support and Agriculture Intervention Program funds in 2021. This is Mr. Pupita in Kavieng last year inspecting the renovated OPIC office and staff housing. Funds from the intervention program were used for these projects.
In Kavieng, we had a big problem with staff housing being run down, and the administration office here where I'm standing. This was all run down, and it was into a near condemned situation. So I chipped in around about 450,000 to do a maintenance and a rehab on this building. As you can see, it's nicely done. The bricks here are additional work that I have done. I've also fenced the area.
We have seen big changes. We have started cleaning up the blocks with the support of the head office in Moresby through the national government, and I'm very appreciative with how this project is going, especially New Island project.
In Milne Bay, OPIC is reviving its base in Siasiada.
With no funding from government and increasing of prices, we've come to abandoning the station in 1998. I last served in this station before I was told to move out of the station with the staff, leaving back 2 houses, of which are now run down. With the new looks of OPIC management, we are looking at rehabilitating these houses again, maintaining them, and then eventually we'll station 2 officers back here.
I got to rehabilitate those houses because I spent a lot of money in building roads and rehabilitating blocks up there. We've spent almost around about 3 million around here, and I want to get the crop, and I want to increase production so that we bring in that most needed forex into this country. And also put some money into our local people so that their level of standard of living is increased, or we alleviate poverty to some extent.
Motorbikes were also purchased for the smaller project areas.
The officers were very hard hit with our old motorbikes, and we have to struggle to get parts to get the motorbikes running. And I'm very appreciative with through the national government. We have 2 new motorbikes that arrived, and I gave to my 2 officers. They're using it now. AG Yamaha 200. It's on the road now, so I'm very happy. My officers are happy.
The bikes are very, very important tool for extension services. A lot of commodity boards would prepare land cruisers or vehicles for that matter, but for me and OPIC, I would prefer motorbikes because they are cheap to operate, and it can get you to nearly everywhere into the blocks, to access the blocks and also access the farmers. Extension farmers, extension officers are there to help assist our local farmers to produce and to produce to the expected standard.
The extension officer-farmer interaction was missing over the years, also contributing to loss of interest. It was therefore important to address staff welfare issues, work challenges that were hindering progress.
So extension service, every day, week in, week out, our extension officers must pay visit to the blocks and meet the farmers. And so with that connectivity and activity, we will maintain yields. We will continue to increase yields because new farming technologies and methods, together with the extension officer and farmer, through the interaction and action, will bring in new methodologies to continue to increase.
But while new roads and staff welfare is being looked at, blocks had to be rehabilitated. From the 2 million Kina intervention program, some funds were put into block rehabilitation. Youths in selected project sites were engaged to help clean blocks with supervision from extension officers.
Like previously, our blocks are all bushy and we cannot afford to produce more crop coming out. But as for now, our blocks are cleaned and now we can produce more crop coming out to the roadside.
All man and all hamamas because most of the time all man harvesting oil palm lo bush.
It will really help the community. It will motivate them, especially like our young people today. They are involved in so many things, but when this kind of program came up, this contract was formed, and like when the information came down to us as local last villagers here, our boys, we begin to see that like they are happy to take part in this kind of program, so they all got involved.
The national government this year has included OPIC in its recurrent budget, allocating over 5 million Kina.
OPIC will now be supported through the recurrent budget. Thanks again to Minister John Simon, thanks to Moresby government, thanks to the good treasurer, Honorable Ian Linstaki, for Treasury coming on board to support OPIC in 2022 under the recurrent budget. I know as I speak, my farmers and my project offices down the ground have been waiting for this for the last 30 years plus when oil palm was introduced.
OPIC has also rekindled its relationship with the Papua New Guinea Oil Palm Research Association to ensure findings from this important organization reaches smallholder farmers to help them produce more yield and generate more income for them. The road and infrastructure projects such as the 14-kilometer Saraclock Bridge in West New Britain and others will continue this year and onwards as OPIC strives to help smallholder farmers increase production.
Oil palm hectares, around about 30 to 35% of the planted palm oil is owned by us, the smallholders. So see, if we increase our yields, that's 1.2 to 1.6 million. Is basically the bulk of the revenue is coming from the million companies' plantations, because they are doing 30 to 40. If we bring it halfway, midway, then that 1.2 to 1.6 million average export tendency we are getting will jump up to between 1.6 to 2 billion. We're going to make it happen. And going forward, that's my objective. The nitty-gritty of it is just best management practice.
Another important goal for Mr. Pupita in 2022 is to complete the OPIC Act. The Act will give OPIC regulatory powers and so will address the issues of deforestation through oil palm, cheap labor, low-quality oil for cheap price, and land exploitation, among others. New oil palm companies must also meet the roundtable on sustainable palm oil requirements and allow proper equity sharing for landowners.
So, the legislation is the way to creating that environment and creating that vehicle for development and creating that environment where a legislation that will run the next 50 years, next 100 years, next 200 years, that will cater for the interests of all parties. Yes, the government wants to collect a bit of levy and this and that, but we must have a sustainable development of the industry. And sustainability is the key.
Sugar Sports is next. Don't go away.
Tukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. A week-long netball and soccer tournament is underway in Makirupu village in Rigo Central Province, known as the late Gelekema Netball and Soccer Tournament in honor of the former netball sensation and PNG rep Gelekema.
The late GK tournament the significance of the tournament is about our late auntie. Back then she used to be a netball. This year would be a third anniversary. So we've decided to host a tournament to show, to commemorate her death. The good thing about the tournament is we have a lot of people coming from different places, so we get to learn to socialize, gather the youth, have them socialize with each other, create bonds and relationships. So we see how we are, how people's lifestyle and all that from different communities in different villages in Central Province.
And now we cross live to Suli, who is at Makirupu village to give us an update. Suli, tell us what's happening at Makirupu.
Thank you, Ellen. Good evening from the Makirupu Soccer Oval. I am here at the Makirupu village in Rigo Coast, Central Province. Makirupu is 2 hours drive from Port Moresby. We are here for the courage of the late GK, the late Gelekema, who was a shooter in the netball representing Central as well as PNG. We are here for the soccer and netball tournament, which will be happening during the week. Earlier today, we had the opening ceremony, which was organized by the committee here, as witnessed by the member for Rigo, Lekwagure, and other dignitaries. We have 26 villages from the Rigo Coast, as well as Rigo, England, and we also have a team from Kila Kila village from the nation's capital district. This week is going to be a full week on with soccer and netball. We haven't confirmed the pools and the draws yet, but we have been advised that the pools will be released in the morning. So we will provide you all the updates later during the week. Back to you, Ellen.
Thank you, Suli. Chukai Sports continues after these short messages. Stay with us.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome back to Chukai Sports. The 8th PNG Games hosted by the Southern Highlands province later this year will provide the perfect stage for the country's rising sporting talents to be identified and guided in their future development.
The PNG Games has provided the country with the ideal platform to identify and develop the next generation of elite athletes to represent PNG on the regional and world stage.
Papua New Guinea is given an assurance that the Games will truly be brought into Southern Highlands by November, December 2022.
Given its importance, the 8th PNG Games, hosted by the Southern Highlands province, will offer the nation's most promising prospects the opportunity to stake their claim for future representative duties.
Always remember that PNG Games is the base, the foundation of the development of the athletes that go through the 4 cycle of events, which is the Mini Pacific, Commonwealth and the Olympic Games. So our record stands very strong at the 2014 Games, where during the course of the 2015 Games, majority of the athletes in athletics came from PNG Games. So this pathway we are now want to build up, and Southern Highlands host organization want to say thank you to you as the operations team and the technical people behind the scene. We want to work forward with your team.
Huxley Lovai, Chukai Sports.
And that ends Chukai Sports with the details coming up next.
Chukai Sports. Chukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
I'll look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region. Mostly cloudy with chances of a shower or two in Port Moresby, Daru and Kerema. Cloudy periods with rain showers possible. Thunderstorms in Alotau and Popondita. In the Moresby region, partly cloudy with chances of a shower or two in Ley. Cloudy with rain showers and possible thunderstorms in Medang, Wewak and Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, partly cloudy with chances of brief showers in Lorengau. Fine, although cloudy in Kavieng, Kokopo and Rabaul. Some rain and thunderstorms in Kimbe and showers and thunderstorms expected in Buka. And in the Highlands region, cloudy periods with some rain showers and possible thunderstorms in Mount Hagen, Goroka and Kundiawa. And cloudy periods with some showers and possible thunderstorms in Mendi and Wabeg. Forecast small crafts for the next 24 hours. Coastal waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Daru to Hood Point and waters of West New Britain, seas of 1.5 to 2.5 meters. Waters of Hood Point to Samari Islands to the Milne Bay Islands, seas of 2.5 to 3 meters. Waters of Milne Bay Islands to Cape Vogel and Huon Gulf to Finschhafen, including waters of Long Island to Karkar and Bogia to Wewak and Vanimo to the northern PNG Indonesian border, seas of 1 to 2 meters. Coastal waters of Finschhafen through Vitiaz and Dampier Straits to CRC and Long Island, seas of 2 to 3 meters, rising to 4 meters along the Vitiaz Strait. Coastal waters of Manus, East New Britain, New Ireland and Bougainville, seas of 1.5 to 2 meters, rising to 2.5 meters along Feni and Nisan Islands. A look at the ocean forecast. The PNG areas in the Coral Sea seas are rough to patches, very rough with northwest winds at 25 to 33 knots. In the Solomon Sea seas moderate to patches, rough with northwest winds at 15 to 25 knots. In the Bismarck Sea seas moderate with northwest winds at 15 to 25 knots. And in the Pacific Ocean, seas slight to moderate with northeast to northwest winds at 10 to 20 knots.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
And that's the news, sport and weather for today. A reminder in EMTV News special program Last Man Standing will come on after the news, right after the news tonight at 7 p.m. Now from the news team, it's good night.